Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another backtesting video. So we're going to continue on from the last session where unfortunately I noted this trade, and one of the takeaways that I think that I was highlighting at the end of the last video is that if trades form outside of the trade execution window, but the reality is that you have the whole day. You have the trading day made up of 3 sessions: the AM session, lunch, and the PM session. And obviously the 2 sessions are more high probable, excuse me, but nonetheless this was a a high probability setup which could have been taken on reduced risk. So I think going forward I'm going to be significantly more selective, but where my setup forms, if it's outside of trade execution windows, i.e. the 2 trading sessions, so AM or PM, less so AM pre 9:30, less so that, and you could argue PM session after 2 o'clock. But we're going to start getting involved in these moves because we can't keep missing certain trades and things like that because we're just sacrificing profitability. So that's the plan going forward. The sort of lower time frame moves, in certain cases they will be relevant, but I'm also going to reduce the frequency in terms of highlighting that potential trade idea, but it's still feasible. I'm not going, excuse me, it's getting on the day. I'm not going to change too much, but there are certain models that I'm going to be less inclined to take for a multitude of different reasons, and I'm going to really refine counter trend moves to specifically one model, or 2 models should I say, of high probability. So anyway, with that being said, let's just play on time. Let's look at the PM session and see what happens. Potentially we have a trade at the highs if we see a purge of the previous day's high, which is highly likely, and we've seen that there. So this is the news candle now, so this is 2 o'clock. So all of them have purged, so I would assume the likelihood is a continuation of higher prices. Let's just venture out to the other time frames and see what we've got. They've all traded down into this imbalance here. We can get rid of that, in fact. CB. Excuse me. And if we we're out on the hourly. So yes, we would anticipate potentially higher prices now. Continuation. So we've got a 2-stage delivery, traded down back into the order block, but it had delivered, so we're not looking for this high time frame crack and correlation currently. And just for record, I'm referring to this. Okay, and as you can see, with I am purged that low here perfectly, so it was a really good setup there. So we're going to play that on, see what happens with the news. Oh, hello. That's the 2-stage delivery, and then obviously up we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to go to next session, where we've obviously seen the continuation of higher prices. Like so, and go to next session. Should be there. Go to next session. So I'm going to clear out a lot of this stuff. We're anticipating liquidity to build up under here, so I'm just going to put unconfirmed, but it's not actually unconfirmed. It's more liquidity. Not sure why that's not. There we go. Okay. Get rid of these. Okay, so let's venture back out to the high time frame. In fact, I'm just going to go to the 4 hour. I just want to clean some stuff up. So we want to clean this up here, that there, this here. Okay, bear with me a second. Apologies there. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. Okay, so we can get rid of this high as well, and that one there as well. Okay. Right, okay. So what we want to do is just venture out to the 4 hour. Sorry, to the daily. No imbalances at present, which is fine, and we can see doesn't look like any of them actually purged that previous weekly high. Okay. Going to remove that daily high. Okay, and we're going to go to the 4 hour. So unfortunately, I think that will ultimately be the trade of the day. Oh, sorry, it's trade of the week, which is a shame. But that's how, ruthless ultimately the markets are. If you miss your opportunity, invariably you won't get another one. Okay. So I am going to note the previous daily high because I do want to see that key price level. Okay, so we've got that range, and then obviously we've got this large H4 imbalance. So the question will be, how far into here could price likely come? So there we go. So I'm not looking at any other key price levels there. I think that's pretty much it. Okay. Oh dear, has my machine crashed? Oh, oh Lord. Okay, I think I'm back, and I think it's more that my mouse died than necessarily machine crashing. Bear with me a second, just want to put that on charge. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's, as usual, let's analyze the market for Thursday the 5th. We're going to start with institutional order flow, which again, in most cases, hasn't changed. The only difference is that we have had that high time frame cracking correlation at the lows now, which, in all honesty, that in itself changes the dynamic of where is price likely to go. It gives us more narrative. Okay, so if we venture out to the daily, we obviously had that daily imbalance here, but we didn't have that on NQ. So, you know, I wasn't ultimately looking at that. But once we closed above this down close candle here, well, that ultimately changed the narrative of things here, coupled with the SMT here. So, although daily, I ideally want to see an aligned daily SIBI violated. So, to me, this is still bearish, relative to the daily time frame. So, I'm going to speak on behalf of the daily time frame. So, relative to the daily time frame, institutional order flow remains bearish despite the weekly SMT at the lows, which has been supported by an high time frame cracking correlation at the lows, also supporting high prices. However, I would need to see either a bearish fair value gap violated or a daily liquidity pool traded and closed above to support a switch in institutional order flow. We haven't seen that yet. So near term, yes, we can be potentially bullish based on the 4-hour time frame, but still overall institutional order flow is bearish. Okay, so So that's where I am in relation to that. I'm going to get rid of that now. Don't need that. Okay, and we've got this relative equal highs, which I think is going to be traded to. So ERL/RRL. So following the market, purging the old low weekly, coupled with high time frame cracking correlation at the lows, my immediate attention turns to the CB daily above the marketplace as the internal range liquidity draw. Okay, that's what I'd be anticipating there. SP and drop down to the 4 hour. So obviously we saw this displacement following the news yesterday. Supporting higher prices. So I have noted the clean and clear oh Lord, I'm writing this on the wrong, bear with me. Just got to so I've noted the clean and clear swing points referencing the previous day's high and previous day's low, where near-term liquidity would reside. They're formed either side. So if one is purged again, could lead to a high probability trade idea. Okay. TO. Currently all IFT members are trading above their respective true week open, supporting the idea of lower prices if coupled by an high time frame cracking correlation at the highs. Okay, but not necessarily suggesting that that could be the case, because we could potentially see higher prices. But yeah, we'll see what transpires. So cracking correlation. I noted the high time frame SMT at the lows, which delivered higher prices. Therefore, I will look to identify another cracking correlation to support the next trade idea. So yeah, we're going to go to game plan. It is a shame because that was, and I think part of the problem is, and again, it's back testing, and it's you obviously wanting to show your proficiency. But I think this is where I've got to be less rigid and be more expansive to taking trades instead of trying to stick to these, very very specific rules, which is fine. But you've just got to have a little bit of an expansive mindset whereby, look, this is set up, this absolutely meets your criterias. You're going to have to take this trade. And, whether you take it on reduced risk or whatnot, it's fine as long as you're participating when your setup forms. Now, again, some people will say, well, no, you're right. It's set up during the lunch hour. How often does that happen? Now, sometimes if it doesn't happen very often, then that's a good thing because it means that when it does happen, it's high probability. If it happened all the time and had varying results, then you would probably say, well, this is probably not the right time for me to take this trade. So something to take away and something to think about in that regard. So we're going to drop down to the hourly to have a look at framing a game plan. Now, we've got no news today, so we'll be relying on the 9:30 volatility, not looking to get involved pre 9:30. Looking at time-based liquidity, I mean, we've got in such close proximity to the high that I don't particularly want to mark that up, because if it's going to go up there, it's going to take out the previous day's high. Yeah, so obviously we've formed this low here, but conditions to me are extremely difficult. They don't appear to be high probability for a trade idea. So we've obviously got the London low here. Okay. So relative equal highs. So I would be anticipating a move to those highs there. Market's obviously above the true week open. We are counter trend, so based on my rules that I'm imparting, we are in a 4-hour SIBI, so that changes the dynamic of this significantly, though. But again, I'd like to see support from the SIBI, but I'm not convinced of anything yet. I think we've got that key price level. I think we're obviously waiting for the. We'll have to see. We'll have to I'm going to forward onto equities open before I commit to some form of game plan. So we're gonna drop down to the M15. I'm gonna pop in because I am cognizant of the fact that we've probably missed. So we're below the true week open. We're above the true week open. We're below the true day open. So it's not where I want to be. Okay. We've got a time span to go to, so let's see what happens. No asset has purged that low yet, but YM is looking increasingly closer. So we're at 8 o'clock now. Again, still nothing. So I just want to go out to the hourly, see what's occurred. We've obviously got that high, which we know about. This low is starting to build up significantly more liquidity. Nothing's really changed on the 4-hour time frame, so we'll just continue. Let's press pause there. Nothing has been purged. We're going to drop down to the 1 minute and then we'll continue. So here comes the news embargo. There shouldn't really be any volatility here, which there isn't. Market is in a consolidation inside the range, so really nothing to do. But we can anticipate the volatility at 9:30 will NQ looking significant, markedly closer to that key price level, but we'll continue to monitor. 9 o'clock candle, we should see volatility at the 9 o'clock open. Right, so now all three of them have purged that, so that renders this non and void. Yeah, it's not looking particularly likely that there'll be a opportunity to gauge the market, but I would suspect that we're going to see lower prices. Just want to double check that there wasn't anything at the highs. I don't believe that there was. No, symmetrical. So we're getting to equities open now. Probably see this expand lower. We'll see. For me, there is literally nothing to do with this. Zero. So yeah, the market is just displaced lower. Really nothing for us to do. We've got no high time frame framework. So we're into the 10 o'clock hour. It's clear that we are repricing lower. Markets are now getting closer to the previous day's low. So let's see what occurs. Yeah, pretty much just repricing lower in a pretty much a straight line. NQ getting significantly closer to previous day's low. Okay, so we're getting up to the 11 o'clock hour, but we'll continue on. We've got a lot of, let's go back to the hourly. We've obviously got this big fair value gap now, which has formed. And in fact, if we look at the 4 hour, there's a BPR at the highs, which we'll note now. Okay, so there's the BPR. Ugh. We don't have any of this yet. Sorry, just want to mark the BPR on the other assets as well. Get rid of that. Okay. Now we'll drop back to the hourly. Put this CB in. That'll do. That will do, and there. That one there. Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's stick on the hourly for now. No need to change. Let's see if NQ wants to. NQ is obviously below it. Okay, that's interesting, but they are all looking very likely to purge their low, not gonna lie. There we go. And YM is probably very close to doing the same thing, although hasn't yet. Well, let's see what transpires. Okay. Still nothing doing. There we go. Okay. So all of them have purged that low. Just want to venture out to a higher time frame and see. And this is why I didn't go in with a real game plan. There was nothing obvious at all. So they've all purged that low. Not really seeing we've got the old low daily that could be of interest. That might be worth seeing if one's likely to purge that. So let's have a look. But it certainly could be a catalyst for a high probability setup. So nothing at present. Obviously we're in the lunch hour. I would hazard a guess that we're going to continue lower. I don't think anything is going to form right now. In fact, we'll just put this out to 5 minutes. So yeah, nothing. Yes, so it's 2 o'clock. Want to see if we get NQ potentially to trade to that low. I think it's getting towards the end of the trading day. Yeah, so wouldn't be involved in anything now. So unfortunately, nothing doing on this day, largely because we had the large range day the previous day, but nothing doing at all. Hopefully took something away. I think the fortunate part was we missed that setup. That was the setup for the week. There's no news today. Market repriced lower. Was not anticipating that in the slightest. Despite institutional order flow being bearish, I wasn't anticipating that. But you know, we didn't engage in anything, so we didn't lose anything at all. It was an interesting bit of price action, but it is what it is. These things happen. So going to leave this one here. Hopefully you took something away from that one. It was a bit of a snore fest, but you know, these things are important. We're still aiming for a one shot, one kill, at least one trade a week, winning trade. Got a sneaky feeling we've missed the one for this week, but we'll go again on Friday. Even though Friday is not one of our better days, we'll go again and see what we can do. Sticking to our rules in terms of if we're going counter trend, what we're looking for. Staying true to that. It's very difficult. You know, you often want to renege on what you've said, but it's important that we don't do that and we stay consistent with that. The only thing that we have changed is we're opening out our trade execution windows, where we are essentially going to say from 9:30 equities open all the way to market close 4:30. If our trade setup forms in between that period, we can take the trade. Now, we may look to specify certain hours of the day where it will be reduced risk, but we'll sort of cross that bridge when we get there. But that's what we're going to look at moving forward. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. I'm going to leave it here, and guys, I'll catch you in the next one.